I'm here, Mr. President, to talk with you later on how we could contribute to that goal. And we all are looking for measures and for instruments to bring this terrible war to an end. And may I remind you that we are having June 6th tomorrow. This is D-Day anniversary, when the Americans once ended a war in Europe. And I think this is in your hand in specific, in ours.
That was not a pleasant day for you?
No, that was not a pleasant...
This was not a great
in
day.
the long run, Mr. President, this was the liberation of my country from Nazi dictatorship.
That's true. That's true.
And we know what we owe you. But this is the reason why I'm saying that America is again in a very strong position to do something on this war and ending this war.
Our opening clip was Friedrich Merz, the Chancellor of Germany, speaking to the Nazi-in-chief in the Oval Office. Today is June 6, 2025, the 81st anniversary of the Allies landing on the beaches of Normandy to liberate Europe from fascism. Thank you to all the Nazi hunters who served that day and to all the Nazi hunters of today who refuse to give up, who keep on fighting. That is how we win. This week, just like early June 1944, was a great week for the resistance. We began this week with Ukraine's stealth mission of successfully destroying 34% of Russia's warplanes with an arsenal of cheap drones and a gold mine of ingenuity. We're ending this week with the whole world watching and laughing as the MAGA sociopath mass murderers fight each other like scorpions trapped in a jar.
Any quick reaction on what's going on with Elon Musk and President Trump on Twitter right now?
Oh man, the girls are fighting, aren't they? I would say that this was something that was a long time coming, where we've been seeing that these two huge egos were not long for being together in this world as friends, and so I think this breakup we've been seeing a long time coming, but we'll see what the impacts are of it legislatively.
Thank you so much.
This is how it always goes. Mad men eventually turn on each other. World War II began with Hitler and Stalin joining forces, making a secret agreement in their Nazi-Soviet pact to carve up Europe into their own spheres of influence, setting off a series of invasions by both dictators. Hitler did not mass murder on the scale of Stalin until this pact was signed, as it gave him the protection he needed to unleash his full terror. In September 1939, Hitler invaded Poland, and Stalin followed 2 weeks later. Then they held Nazi-Soviet military parades together in occupied Poland as the world woke up to World War II. You can't mention this fact now in Russia because it will get you arrested. Madmen being madmen, egos being egos, Hitler inevitably turned on Stalin, invading the Soviet Union in the early hours of June 22nd, 1941, just 2 years after their joint invasion of Poland. Hitler, like Putin today, was obsessed with Ukraine and focused his invasion there, launching Operation Barbarossa. That's when Stalin flipped sides, joining the Allies. Today, some Democratic leaders, like Ro Khanna of California, want us to welcome Elon Musk into the resistance. That is not happening. Elon Musk is a drug-fueled, mass-murdering psychopath who belongs in The Hague, along with his accomplices at Doge. Reports are coming out that Musk's young army in Doge are texting each other in a panic that they're about to get fired. Republicans see that Musk's brand is toxic. He suffered a humiliating loss in Wisconsin, so Musk can threaten the GOP all he wants to try to stop Trump's cruel bill in Congress. It won't work. His brand is dead. His brand is toxic, not just to normal thinking people, but even to these Republicans. But that doesn't mean that Musk isn't still dangerous. He's got endless supplies of money, which he'll continue to pump into disinformation and surrounding himself with cult worshippers to do his bidding, ushering in a new generation of sociopaths for us to continue battling because the struggle never ends. We just become more resilient and creative in learning how to blast our light into their darkness. So let's celebrate that madmen always eventually turn on each other. June marks the 2-year anniversary of when mass murdering sociopath Yevgeny Prigozhin launched an armed rebellion inside Russia against the Kremlin, using his Wagner Group mercenaries. They eventually stopped when they reached a few hundred miles from Moscow. 2 months later, Prigozhin and his entire inner circle blew up in the sky, including the neo-Nazi Dmitry Utkin, a founder of Wagner, who named it after Hitler's favorite composer. We'll have military expert Candice Rondeau, an investigative journalist who spent time in Russia and speaks Russian, on Gaslit Nation in 2 weeks to discuss her new book about Wagner called Putin's Sledgehammer. This coming week, we're running an important interview with Chrissy Stroop, an expert on the unholy alliance between American Christian nationalism and Russian Christian nationalism. Chrissy was raised in damnation Christian churches in Indiana and Colorado and escaped that indoctrination to become a liberated trans woman. We'll discuss the current global war of democracy versus fascism and how to overcome it from her incredibly inspiring and unique perspective. Look out for that on Tuesday. For now, here are some clips in a special Gaslit Nation celebration, our second one this week, reminding you all, as they say in Ukraine, we're lucky they're so stupid. The reality is that men are too emotional to hold power. That explains the state of the world. We need more women in positions of leadership because they don't slap each other silly like these clowns. Study after study shows that women are more collaborative and they focus on getting the job done. If we can learn anything from this dystopian reality show cage match, it's that. Bannon called on Musk to be deported immediately and claims an executive order is already being drafted to seize SpaceX.
Doge was, and for any fanboys that still exist, while you're wrapping up in your cape tonight, understand on Doge, he didn't find any fraud. There's plenty of fraud out there. This is President Trump's first complaint. Was this all BS? Right, with the Doge. The act that President Trump should be taking immediately, I think, when he threatens to take one of the big programs out of SpaceX, President Trump tonight should sign an executive order calling for the Defense Production Act to be called in SpaceX and seize SpaceX tonight before midnight.
He has declared all-out war on Musk. Trump has already threatened to cut off Musk's billions in government contracts, a move that should have happened a long time ago. Musk illegally purged the federal government, endangering the lives of over 3 million people, likely already killing 300,000. He built up his wealth and power with the help of government contracts and subsidies. For years, he should have never even gotten this far. Musk, for his part, admitted that he brought a pedophile to power, writing on Twitter, as you already know, because we're all enjoying this. Time to drop the really big bomb. Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Is that so? Well, we all knew that. Trump can, of course, put it to rest by proving Elon Musk wrong by finally releasing the Epstein files, but he won't. In their social media slapping fit, Musk took credit for Trump and Republican victories in 2024. If Elon really wants to get back at Trump and Bannon, he should come clean about all the illegal rat fucking they did in that election. In the long, proud tradition of Republican rat fucking, the internet went crazy when Elon Musk's little boy, the one he uses as a human shield, seemed like a parrot, repeating some nefarious-sounding talking points as he crashed his father's November 2024 live stream with today's Walter Duranty, Tucker Carlson, saying things like, "We can do what we want. They'll never know," in regards to Trump winning that election. Here's the clip.
X. Should we help President Trump?
Yeah.
Well, you have. Yeah.
If we're in SpaceX and quietly just do whatever we want.
What's your assessment? Did this work? Is he going to win?
Yeah. is not no.
I think it's done.
You think it's done?
Yeah.
But never know.
No.
I'm looking at the data as it comes in from every county in Pennsylvania.
Oh, he can tell us.
So why did Musk bring a pedophile to power? The obvious answer is because he's creepy too. Musk and Doge illegally sucked all the data they could from our federal government, endangering people's privacy, lives, our national security, so they could feed Musk's AI company in his ongoing ego-driven feud with Sam Altman of ChatGPT. And obviously, as the KGB knows, information is power. So having all that information, blackmail, compromise, pressure points, all that. And they're also doing this to feed Peter Thiel's Palantir to develop an AI big brother of state surveillance. There's speculation that Musk and Thiel will try to launch a coup against Trump to install their puppet JD Vance, but Thiel owes a lot to Trump. Under Trump's first term as president, the DOJ became dependent on Palantir to track criminal networks. Now, under Trump's second term, Trump is helping Palantir develop its capabilities to track all of us. This will help entrench Trump's hold on power in 2028 and beyond, so that he doesn't have to step down and can, like a wannabe dictator, live out his days in power. One Middle East activist told me recently that he's heard that Palantir will go after Palestinian activists in the US. These are very dangerous times. So as fun as this cage match of idiots is to watch, let's not lose sight of the fact that a tech-driven, AI-based dictatorship and a tech-driven coup is what they're after. Here's Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas yesterday in an oversight hearing in Congress where Republicans blocked Democrats from issuing Elon Musk with a subpoena to appear before Congress to testify over what he and Doge actually did with all of the data they illegally stole.
When I left, we were talking about Elon. And so I want to make sure that we don't forget him. I know that some people want us to forget Elon and act like he never existed, but we're not going to do that. We are talking about AI today, and I can tell you what real people in my district care about. I had a few town halls, and I talked to some seniors, and they were concerned about their data and their information and how it was being used, and they wanted me to answer questions that I just didn't have the answers to about what has Elon done with their tax information, their social security information, their health information, banking information, information about their credit histories. And instead of demanding answers, Republicans just blocked our motion to subpoena him to testify before this committee. And I'd ask at this point for unanimous consent to enter into the record a picture of who all was in the room when we took the vote. Madam Chair?
No objection.
As well as, since our clerk was ready and she knew who was in the room, the actual record of who was in the room at that time.
No objection.
Thank you so much. 5 months into the 119th Congress, and no one from the administration or Doge has appeared before this committee to explain why they're invading the privacy of Americans. And the irony of it all is during a 2023 hearing, I remember Chairman Comer stating that, quote, "We've witnessed big tech autocrats wield their unchecked power to promote their preferred political opinions. And now he and committee Republicans are here helping the world's richest man to do just that. They're letting him spy on companies competing for government grants, but worse, they're letting him spy on you, the American people." Look, we can all agree that incorporating emerging technologies like artificial intelligence into government operations can be effective. However, these technologies shouldn't be used to weaponize the government against the public.
Despite Republicans continuing to protect Musk and Trump's crime spree, I personally think MAGA has lost patience with Musk, and they're doing to him what the boys of Lord of the Flies did to Piggy. MAGA's disinformation weapons are targeted on Musk, with this one guy on Newsmax saying this.
Still love Trump, and I really like Elon. This is just a really crappy scenario right now, and I really hope these two can patch these things up, because I think Elon took a low blow by tweeting that, quote, DJT was on the Epstein client list. I mean, something that he knows can't be immediately verified. Also, if Trump was on that island doing something illegal, after all the legal battles that Biden threw at him, if he had done something illegal with Jeffrey Epstein, you would think they would have thrown that at him, no? They pulled out the stops on everything else. The only thing we can point to that was a known association with Epstein was that he was at his club once. And by the way, Trump kicked him out of that club because of reported bad behavior. And also, Elon, if you knew he was on the Epstein client list, why did you let him board Marine One with your son? Just asking. But the best thing for Trump to do now is to release the list, something that also our FBI and Pam Bondi have promised us.
Trump is also faced, like so many Americans, with not knowing what to do with the Tesla he purchased now that he hates Elon. What's also fun is that Musk called for Trump's impeachment. Maybe this will give Democratic leaders some courage to finally do so as well. We're going to discuss the movement to impeach convicted felon Trump at our June 16 salon at 4 p.m. Eastern with Kira Havens of Citizens Impeachment. In the meantime, keep hunting Nazis, show up to Tesla takedown protests, show up to a No Kings protest on Saturday, June 14. Check out our show notes for this bonus show to find an event near you. Make a fun sign, take courage in our collective light. Ego is never satisfied. It will always devour all it touches. The MAGA egos will continue to fight each other. That's not going away. It's only going to get more heated. So as they break apart, we have to come together, stay united, and keep being the sand in their gears. Keep our eye on the prize, just as all liberation builders have done in generations past. Trump's mass death bill is dangerous. Call a Republican congressperson to demand they vote no, just to panic their office with all these calls, letting them know we're watching. We know what they're doing. If you don't know what to say, just play this clip of Congressman Brendan Boyle of Pennsylvania.
We just verified with the Congressional Budget Office, and of the 13.7 million Americans who will lose their health care because of their bill, exactly 0 are undocumented immigrants. So the complete artifice that the other side is attempting to convince you is that almost 14 million Americans will lose their health care, but don't worry about it. They're all illegals. They're all people who are defrauding the system. It's completely false, and every independent source has verified that it is false.
Essential services are under threat. Dozens of offices that provide energy assistance, food aid, Medicaid support, and Social Security are shutting down. Meanwhile, Trump and his family illegally line their pockets with illegal deals. And now we have the climate crisis reaching peak levels. Just look at the latest data from Hawaii's monitoring systems. Yet Trump and Republicans are pushing a bill that punishes Americans for driving electric vehicles. It would slap $850 annual tax on EV drivers and eliminate clean energy incentives. As Ann Nelson, author of The Shadow Network, has pointed out on this show, Christian nationalism in the South rose to national power with funding from climate crisis producers like the Koch brothers. Now, with big oil behind them, Republicans are targeting the very technologies that could help solve the crisis. When I was in Florida before the election, an Uber driver in his Tesla told me how great the EV tax incentives are, how affordable his Tesla was, thanks to all the great government programs. Despite all that, he still couldn't bring himself to vote for Kamala Harris, even though she was of the administration that ensured all those great programs that made his Tesla so affordable. Why? Because Trump just seems stronger. Trump now wants to charge this man $250 a year just for owning an electric car. I would love to know how he feels now. Call a GOP senator to kill this bill and to show them that the people are fighting back. Now, for this week's bonus show, available to our subscribers at the truth teller level and higher, who make Gaslit Nation possible, we continue our conversation with Leah Littman, a constitutional law professor at the University of Michigan Law School and a host of the Strict Scrutiny podcast, and author of the new must-read book, Lawless: How the Supreme Court Runs on Conservative Grievance, Fringe Theories, and Bad Vibes. In part 2 of our discussion, we cover knowing our rights in a time of lawlessness. To listen to this and all Gaslit Nation bonus shows, Get invites to exclusive events, all episodes ad-free, and more. Grab your membership at patreon.com/gaslit. Discounted annual memberships are available, and you can give the gift of membership. See you at patreon.com/gaslit. Thank you to everyone who supports this show. We could not make Gaslit Nation without you. I wanted to ask about the grassroots movements and anything that you've been witnessing and tracking in terms of court accountability. So in Ukraine, when you had courts packed by corrupt judges that were just rubber stamping corruption, a group of civic activists set up cameras in the courts to, that camera was reminding the judge, like, the people are in charge, you work for us, and we're going to open you up to transparency. And it was very effective. What sort of movements are happening in the US to do the same here?
So I am encouraged by a few developments as far as the courts. One is, I think, honestly, President Joe Biden's judicial appointments were the best I have seen from any president, including Democratic presidents. They were more professionally diverse. They were more demographically diverse. And so I think that showed an awareness by the Democratic Party about the importance of the courts in a way that I had not seen from the Democratic Party in recent years. Second is, I've seen several organizations, that are focused on the courts take off. So I'd point to Demand Justice as one organization. That is, to my mind, one of the higher profile, more successful examples of like a progressive group that is actually focused on the courts. There's so many of those groups on the right, not so many on the left, not many that have, again, like a high profile. So that was a welcome development. So those are just two kind of small examples. I hope, that there is continued energy to get the Supreme Court to broadcast its opinion announcements, to get them to televise oral arguments.
That'd be amazing.
So people can tune in to learn more. Yeah, exactly. To just like see the institution functioning.
Yes, absolutely. And in terms of like Leonard Leo and his war chest, the Federalist Society, I have to ask you about good old Leonard, and also Opus Dei, a hard-right Catholic group that also works in coalition with the Federalist Society and making sure that there are these ideologues on the courts. What can we do to protect ourselves, our democracy, from them? I mean, these guys have limitless resources, it seems like.